Tamil. When it went from the crisis group into the UNHRC report, the Tamil women became people in the refugee camps, Tamil refugees, and that is what was quoted by the European Commission report. Now, if a country is going to be deprived of a vital trade concession on the basis of such rubbish, then there is a serious problem. You see, you can't allow that kind of thing to happen, and which is why I say now. Of course, the thing is this: if you take this before the WTO, they are not going to be worried about these reports that have been produced by the European Commission. They don't look at that. They look at only one thing. They look at the GATT agreement, all right, and on what basis these concessions are given to developing countries. The concessions are given to developing countries on the grounds on just one point only, which is the financial and economic requirements of that country. This is for countries to benefit. This is not a tool that can be used in terms of the WTO law. You can't use this as a tool to manipulate countries, to get them to do what you want them to do. That is not in the WTO. They're not going to even look at these reports. That is, the WTO is going to take the decision on a different basis altogether. But what I'm saying is this, that this whole basis on which they are trying to deprive Sri Lanka of, now that is just one glaring example that I gave. There are other examples with regard to deaths and killings and all that, the way they have come to these conclusions, how those occurred and all kinds of things. Now, even these abductions that are supposed to have been taken, that are supposed to have been done by the Karuna group, the main accusation is this: why Sri Lanka is going to be deprived of the GSP Plus is that, well, the government was complicit in the abductions carried out by the Karuna group. You go back to those actual reports that they are quoting, it's not said anywhere that the military was even remotely involved in the abductions, where all the witnesses have very clearly said it was by the Karuna group. You see, so you can't lash the military onto that. So there are various connections made, various accusations made, which are completely inaccurate. If you just accept that, if you just stand by and allow them to say that, I mean, it's a travesty of justice.
Yes, and then can we also move on very briefly to the issue of the 17th Amendment?
Well, yeah. Well, unfortunately, I would like to discuss that at length, the 17th Amendment, but we are running out of time. So I'll just briefly tell the public just this. Now, if there's anyone who wants the 17th Amendment implemented, I would seriously advise them to first read it, because this amendment is an unworkable amendment. This is about 10 years old now. It was passed in 2001. There have been 3 governments after that. The government of Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe was the first government to come after the 17th Amendment was passed. He didn't implement it. Then Mrs. Kumaratunga was restored to power. She didn't implement it. Then Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa came into power. He didn't implement it either. And all 3 presidents were right. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and the 2 other presidents were right in not implementing it. This is a flawed piece of legislation which could easily render the country ungovernable. In fact, I would see this now after this election. Now we have crossed a certain line. You know, we have, I mean, the danger that was before the country has been averted. We have crossed a certain line. This is the other bomb. So please, before anyone speaks of implementing it, read it, because it's completely unworkable. It expects the Prime Minister and the opposition leader to cooperate in appointing a 5 members of the Constitutional Council. It's a 10-member council, and 5 of those members have to be appointed by the Prime Minister and the opposition leader concurring. If they disagree on some point, the whole thing collapses.
So, Mr. C. Chandraprema, that is a like I think a discussion by itself.
Yeah.
But we just started it today, so we will move on to another discussion and discuss that issue about the 17th Amendment in detail. So thank you so much for bringing a lot of information, especially with regard to manipulation of information and the fact of misinformation, and what the points he revealed about the GSP plus suspension and how it is based on the human rights report and how it can be manipulated. So thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for watching us today. Do join us tomorrow at the same time.